Welcome to the December 9th, 2020 regular board meeting of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors. The time is 6 p.m. This is President Sarah Ramos-Ebinger, and we will now begin the meeting. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded. Please silence your cell phones and devices to reduce background noise or disruption. In accordance with the California Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, guidance from the California Department of Public Health, and in an effort to combat the spread of COVID-19, the Chino Valley Fire District will hold all regular and special meetings of the Board of Directors remotely until further notice. There will be no physical meeting location. All board members and staff are joining the meeting today by teleconference. The public may join the meeting real-time in listen-only mode. Instructions to the GoToWebinar URL link for the meeting are listed on the agenda. Our agenda is posted on our website at cvfd.org. Please be advised that when you join the meeting real-time, your screen name will appear in the GoToWebinar screen. The board will accept public comments at all times on the agenda and under public communication. The public had two options for participation in public comment. One option for participating in public comment was to submit comments to the clerk of the board by email at clerk@chofire.org prior to the beginning of the meeting. Comments received by email will be read real-time by the clerk of the board during the specified time. Emails are limited to 300 words. Please note that your name will be read into the record. The second option for participating in public comment real-time is to register prior to the meeting at the GoToWebinar URL listed on the agenda. If you have registered for public comment, the clerk of the board will call you and unmute your microphone when it is your turn to speak. Attendees may also need to unmute their own devices to be heard. When your name is called, begin the public comment by stating your name, address, optional for the record. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes. For a recorded viewing of the board meeting, you may access the Fire District website the following day, on the following day at www.cvfd.org and click on Video Archive. I will now open the meeting and take roll call. Please answer when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams? Okay. Director Harvey Luth?
Harvey Luth present, thank you.
Director John DeMonico?
John DeMonico present.
Vice President Mike Krieger?
Mike Krieger's present.
And myself, I'm present. I would like to remind board and staff to please mute your phone until it's your time to speak to cut down on background noise. Before I adjourn the open session to closed session portion of the meeting, I will read the closed session item. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, one or more potential cases. Conference with real property negotiator, pursuant to Government Code 54956.8, the Board of Directors will meet with its designated negotiator, Fire Chief Tim Shackelford, regarding real property owned by the City of Chino Hills and located in an undeveloped parcel located on the south side of Soquel Canyon at the intersection of Soquel Canyon and Pipeline Avenue. The Board of Directors will instruct the district's negotiator concerning the price and terms of payment. Clerk of the Board, did we receive any public comment on this closed session item?
We have no public comment.
Okay. I will now adjourn okay. Let me see here. I will now adjourn the open session to closed session. We will return to the regular board meeting open session at 6 p.m. Board members should now disconnect from the GoToWebinar link and use your telephones to dial in from your secure telephone number provided by District Legal Counsel. When the closed session adjourns, you will join the same GoToWebinar link at 5:45 for sound check and stay on until the open session begins. After the sound check, remember to keep your microphones muted until 6 p.m. when the meeting begins. Okay. At this time, I'm going to reopen to open session. The time is 6:05 p.m. Welcome to the December 9th, 2020 regular board meeting of the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors. The time is 6:05 p.m. This is President Sarah Ramos-Evinger who will begin the meeting. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded. Please silence your cell phones and devices to reduce background noise and disruption. In accordance with the California Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, guidance from the California Department of Public Health, in an effort to combat the spread of COVID-19, the Chino Valley Fire District will hold all regular and special meetings of the Board of Directors remotely until further notice. There will be no physical meeting location. All board members and staff are joining the meeting today by teleconference. The public may join the meeting real-time in listen-only mode. Instructions and the GoToWebinar URL link for the meetings are listed on the agenda. Our agenda is posted on our website at cvfd.org. Please be advised that when you join the meeting real-time, your screen name will appear on the GoToWebinar screen. The board will accept public comment on all items on the agenda under public communication. The public had two options for participation in public comment. One option for participating in public comment was to submit comments to the clerk of the board by email at clerk@chofire.org prior to the beginning of the meeting. Comments received by email will be read real-time by the clerk of the board during the specified times. Emails are limited to 300 words. Please note that your name will be read into the record. The second option for participating in public comment real-time is to register prior to the meeting at the GoToWebinar URL listed on this agenda. If you have registered for public comment, the clerk of the board will call on you, unmute your microphone when it's your turn to speak. Attendees may also need to unmute their own devices to be heard. When your name is called, begin the public comment by stating your name and address, which is optional for the record. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes. For a recorded viewing of the board meeting, you may access the Fire District website the day following the meeting at www.cvfd.org and click on Video Archive. I will now take roll call for open session. Please answer when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams. Director Harvey Luth.
Harvey Luth present.
Director John DeMonico.
John DeMonico, present.
Vice President Mike Krieger.
Mike Krieger's present.
Okay. And myself, President. I would like to remind the board and staff to please mute your phone until it's your turn to speak to cut down on any background noise. Legal counsel, please report at a closed session.
Yes, board members and members of the public, the board met in closed session to discuss the two items that are listed on the agenda, and there was no action that was taken that is required to be reported out.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, we will be doing the flag salute. Please join me in the flag salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And next, I'm going to do the invocation. And Henry Aguilar, Fire District Chaplain, is joining us to present the invocation.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening and ask for your blessings upon our Fire District Board meeting. We ask for wisdom and direction. May your Holy Spirit be upon our Board of Directors and entire Fire family. Father God, in Jesus' name, I ask for protection, peace, and comfort to be upon us as we continue through this season in our lives concerning the COVID virus. May your healing hands be upon us and our loved ones who may be currently be battling with this virus. And may we always stay focused on you, Father in heaven. For it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Aguilar. So, Clerk of the Board, do we have any changes to the agenda?
We have no changes to the agenda.
Okay. Presentations and announcement, newly re-elected board members swearing in. I would like to announce that last week, the 3 re-elected board members were officially sworn in for their new 4-term terms effective December 4th, 2020 by the clerk of the board, Sandra Heaney. I would like to congratulate both Director John DeMonico and Harvey Luth on their successful re-election as Board of Directors for the Chino Valley Fire District. Your re-election clearly demonstrates the obvious confidence our community has in you. Your commitment to serve the community is commendable. And as you know, I was also reelected, and I am very grateful for the support of the residents of the Chino Valley and the confidence they have in me to serve another 4 years. I look forward to continue to work together to provide the best possible service to our community. So at this time, I'm going to do a recognition for outgoing Board President Harvey Luth. Director Luth, I don't know where I'm going to start, but the board of directors and I truly regret that we are unable to recognize you in person for your leadership as board president in 2020. However, we have this beautiful gavel plaque that we will send to you as a token of our appreciation for your commitment to your role as president, and to thank you for your leadership, professionalism, and dedication throughout a very, very challenging year. You, Director Luth, you did an absolutely amazing job as a leader of our board. I'm so proud of you. I am, you just served our district, our community, everyone so well. We just are immensely grateful for, I mean, I just don't have words. You did an amazing job, Director Luth, and thank you so much for everything you did. Did you want to have a quick moment to say anything?
Just thank you for the kind words, and it was an honor. It was a pleasure to serve as president, and I just really appreciate the opportunity the board entrusted to me to allow me to serve as president. And a lot of thanks go out to the rest of the board, to staff, to our 2 cities that we serve, the city managers and mayors and council people, the public that came and participated in our meetings, and the liaisons from the other organizations that came to our meetings. It just, everybody contributed, and I just appreciate all the support. And again, just very humbled, and thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, I mean, I don't even think you realized how you did an amazing job. You just killed it, I'm going to say. So, okay, so next I'm going to move to Employee Service Award. So this evening, I would like to recognize one service award recipient who respectfully has 5 years of service with the Fire District. Human Resources Specialist Shunda Richard, 5 years. We have invited Shunda and her family to join us today remotely to hear her very well-deserved recognition with for her service with the Chino Valley Fire District. Shunda began her career with the Fire District as a temporary assignment. She was later hired by the Fire District in 2015 as a district employee. Shundra currently serves as a human resources specialist in support of recruitment and personnel. Thank you, Shunda, for your 5 years of service to the Fire District. Although the Board of Directors were not able to formally recognize you in person for your service tonight, we would like to acknowledge you and thank you for your commitment to serving the Chino Valley community. In the next week, a service pin will be delivered to you representing the corresponding years of service. And again, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Fire District, thank you for your commitment and service. Next on the agenda, we will have an overview of the Blue Ridge Fire. Fire Chief Shackelford will now present an overview on the Blue Ridge Fire.
Good evening, President Ramos-Evinger, board members, staff, and residents. At the November board meeting, I provided a verbal report on the Blue Ridge Fire that began on October 26th. Tonight, the deputy chiefs will provide a more comprehensive overview of the incident, with each of them presenting information based on the portion of the incident that they were responsible for. Before we begin the presentation, I want to once again thank our personnel, the partner agencies, and staff from the city of Chino Hills for their outstanding efforts during this very challenging incident. I also want to ask you, bear with us tonight. This isn't an ideal format for a presentation, so please just keep that in mind as we work through it, and there's going to be some transitions here. I will now turn it over to Deputy Chief Cook to continue on with the presentation, and then at the conclusion, I'd like to make a final comment. Chief Cook, please proceed.
Thank you, Chief Shackle, for that. Good evening, President Evinger and board members and staff. As the chief stated, what we'd like to do is give you a high-level overview of the Blue Ridge Fire, which started on October 26, 2020. Next slide, please. The areas that we will cover was the fire activity that was going on in the region at the time, the unified command that was established early on in the fire, what resources came to assist us on this fire, the evacuations and how that occurred, and the financial impact of the Blue Ridge Fire to the district. Next slide, please. That day, the fire weather, a red flag warning was put into place early that morning in the entire region, Southern California area, due to the Santa Ana winds, the low relative humidity, and critically low fuel moistures. Next slide, please. The Silverado fire started at 6:45 earlier in the morning, which was approximately 16 miles from the Blue Ridge Fire. As you can see on the map on the right, the arrow points down to the Silverado Fire origin area and the Blue Ridge Fire. The reason that's important to note is there was a significant resource drawdown in the area and the region. In essence, a lot of fire engines and resources were sent to the Silverado Fire throughout the hours of between 7 a.m. and approximately 12 p.m. At the same time that was all going on, a major evacuation was put into place in the Orange County area of over 90,000 residents, one of the largest evacuations in Orange County history. Next slide, please. At approximately 1 p.m. on the 26th, the Blue Ridge Fire started behind the Green Valley Golf Course in the Chino Valley Fire District's jurisdiction. As you can see on the map there, there's a red arrow pointing down to the approximation of the point of origin. Next slide, please. Due to the location of the fire and where the 911 calls initially came in from, the name Blue Ridge came from the Blue Ridge Street in the city of Yorba Linda. A resident was looking down into the canyon into the Green Valley Golf Course area and noticed the smoke and was the first 911 call. Our fires are typically named of where the fire is originally reported, hence the name Blue Ridge Fire. Due to that approximate location of the 91 and 71 corridor, the first unit arrived on scene was the Corona Fire Department. They were the closest resource at the time when the fire call came in. When they arrived on scene, they reported 200 acres already on fire. And why that's important to note is an average fire when we arrive on scene is anywhere from 1 to 2 acres. And this one was already at 200 acres due to the weather and the winds. This was spreading at a dangerous rate of spread. The fire was burning in northwesterly and northeasterly directions. So basically you had two heads of the fire. Structures were immediately threatened in the city of Yorba Linda and impacted. And the fire was actively burning in both San Bernardino and Orange counties. Next slide, please. A unified command was established early on, which included the Chino Valley Fire District, the Orange County Fire Authority, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, as well as the Orange County Sheriff's Department. The reason this is important is in order to ensure that the appropriate resources were ordered early on and that there was a common plan and a common goal amongst all the jurisdictions. Next slide, please. The incident priorities and objectives were established by the unified commanders early on in the incident. As always, the number one priority was to protect lives and move as many people out of the front of the fire as possible. We were also in the process of defending structures, protect critical infrastructure. And again, this fire was spreading extremely dangerous, and it had the potential for widespread destruction throughout the region. Next slide, please. An aerial assault was initiated right out of the gate. And a significant order of aircraft was placed immediately. Early on in the incident, high winds grounded the aircraft for a period of time during the first operational period, which hampered our suppression efforts from the air. Next slide, please. At this time, I'd like to turn over this portion of the presentation to Deputy Chief Williams.
Good evening, President Ramos-Avenger and staff. Because of our geographic location, it is not uncommon to encounter challenges during these large-scale incidents. The agencies that you see listed below before you were the initial responding units. Next slide. Internally, we had a very robust response, and tremendous ownership of the district was demonstrated by all members. As an example, we had support service staff running and providing food and logistics for the incident. Our IT department was providing digital access after hours for use of district facilities. The community reduction staff assisted with initial evacuations by opening secure gates and serving as staging managers for incoming resources. Our fire marshal also worked with the city of Chino Hills and their EOC. Our PIO worked in concert with Chino Hills and the designated incident PIO to generate a consistent press release, which was very helpful for all community members trying to garner information. And finally, our finance staff assisted with the purchasing for any incident needs that occurred during the duration of our participation. Next slide, please. During the initial phases of the fire, the majority of resources were placed where the anticipated fire threat was expected to impact the community. In Chino Hills, the fire was divided into two divisions for perimeter control of the fire, and several structural defense groups were established to mitigate threats to homes and any structures. Next slide. Before you is a breakdown of the many resources that responded to the Blue Ridge incident. And if you just take a minute, you can see the magnitude, and 140 inches is quite large. So next slide, please. These large-scale incidents take a tremendous amount of resources and coordination. So we are very thankful to the cooperation of our solar partners, which you see listed. Also, our unified partners, and a special thank you goes out to the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and members of the management team 6 for their assistance with helping us to manage this incident. Next slide. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and turn it back over to Chief Cook.
Thank you for that. So on all, when the smoke cleared and every ember was put out, we had approximately 14,000 acres burned from the Blue Ridge fire. Unfortunately, one structure was destroyed in the city of Yorba Linda. 9 other structures were damaged in that same area, and the cause is currently under investigation. Next slide, please. What you have before you now is a cost apportionment map. And typically the way these fires are broken down is at the end of the day, when the smoke clears and the embers are all put out, who pays for this? Obviously, this is a significant incident and a potential for a significant cost. If you look at a red squiggly line that somewhat assembles some type of circle throughout the center of the map, if you look at the core of the map and you find a red squiggly line that kind of goes around, that is the perimeter of the fire. So everything inside that red circle is what burned on this particular fire. As you can see, it burned into multiple jurisdictions: Chino Valley Fire District, Orange County and the Yorba Linda area, and then areas of state responsibility area. The next color I'd like to highlight is the purple section of the map, which is concentrated towards the top half of the map in the Chino Valley proper area in Chino Hills. That is the area that we do not have a contract with CAL FIRE for. The next color I'd like to draw your attention to is, I guess it would be orange or a tan color, not the yellow. Again, in the Chino Hills area, that is the area that we have a contract for CAL FIRE services. And the reason why that's important is when we do cost apportionment, we take a look at the areas of each jurisdiction. So in essence, the purple area is what the Chino Valley Fire District is on the hook for financially for the suppression efforts of this fire. And the tan area or the orange area is what would be covered by the contract. Next slide, please. So ultimately, when everything was settled, this fire cost a little over $13 million to put out. And that included all the resources and all the suppression repair and everything that we threw at it. I'm happy to report to the district at this time that because of the CAL FIRE contract, which made up of approximately 31% of the total acres burned, when the dust settled on this, the district is on the hook for approximately $341,000 of the total cost because of the CAL FIRE contract and our relationships. And we have a fire management assistant grant that we've applied for, which would cover 75% of those costs, which would bring the total cost of the district down to approximately $85,000 if we are granted the FMAG grant. And so again, at the end of the day, the CAL FIRE contract, the relationships, and all the things that have been put forth for a $13 million fire, the district will likely be impacted about approximately $85,000 when it's all said and done. Next slide, please. At this point, I'd like to turn over the presentation to Deputy Chief Atkinson, who will go over the evacuations.
Thank you, Chief Cook. Good evening, President Ramos-Evinger and the board members. Tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you about the evacuation process for the Blue Ridge Fire. In coordination with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the fire district worked in collaboration regarding evacuations in the communities affected by the fire. The Sheriff's Department brought in deputies from throughout the county. Also, Chino Police Department provided officers on the first night of the fire. Evacuations save lives and allow responding personnel to focus on the emergency at hand. California law authorizes and allows peace officers to restrict access to any area where there's a hazard to public health or safety due to events such as wildfires. I wanted to review the terminology associated with evacuations with you. Over the last several years, the state of California has experienced unprecedented incidents, especially relating to wildland fires. In 2019, the California Office of Emergency Services proposed standardizing the terminology to reduce confusion for the public and first responders. The state standardized evacuations into 3 categories. First is shelter in place. This is where you ask residents to stay in their home, close all windows and doors, and often you might seek this advisory for a localized event such as a hazmat release. Second would be evacuation warnings. This is where a threat to lives and property is not yet imminent, but is due for the potential for rapidly changing conditions to develop into a serious threat. Residents at this time are advised to prepare for the issuance of an evacuation order, and they should start preparing their personal belongings and pets for evacuation. And finally, evacuation orders. This is where the threats to lives and property is now imminent, and residents need to immediately move out of the area to a safe location. A person who refuses to evacuate takes full responsibility for themselves and must realize that the help might not be available when it's needed. During this fire, the Sheriff's Department used deputies on foot and patrol cars, but also the telephone emergency notification system known as TENS to alert the residents of the evacuation order. Next slide, please. On October 26th, at the start of the fire district and staff from the Sheriff's Department, in coordination with the Blue Ridge Fire Branch Director, predicted the areas that would possibly be threatened by the growing fire. The 888 Ranch, which the Sleepy Hollow and Valley Springs communities in Carbon Canyon, and the Volano community were issued evacuation warnings. At the same time, hard closure of Carbon Canyon Road, or State Highway 142, was commenced. Also, the gates at Pine Valley Estates and the Valley Springs were open to provide egress out of the Carbon Canyon area. As the fire grew that evening, evacuation warnings were changed to evacuation orders. The fire branch director further requested a complete evacuation for all of the Carbon Canyon communities. Next slide, please. The following morning on October 27th, as the fire threatened multiple areas of Chino Hills, it was requested by the fire branch director of the Blue Ridge Fire that evacuation orders for the communities south of Soquel Canyon and west of Butterfield Ranch Road due to the immediate fire threat. That evening, a full closure of State Highway 71 was requested by the incident. On the afternoon of October 28th, fire officials from Team 6 determined that it was safe for the residents in the evacuation areas to return to their homes. With the safety of the community in mind, the Sheriff's Department developed a plan to repopulate the evacuated areas. Due to the numbers of the people that were evacuated, the repopulation occurred over a number of hours. The Sheriff's Department accomplished this task in record time, and by the evening of the 28th, all residents that were evacuated were back in their homes. Next slide, please. Evacuation orders for the Blue Ridge Fire totaled just under 10,000 homes, which affected over 25,000 residents. To give some comparisons, the Silverado Fire, which was similar in size to the Blue Ridge Fire, had evacuations of about 70,000 homes and affected over 90,000 residents. I would like to recognize the Sheriff's Department for their professionalism, quick action, and collaboration with the fire district throughout the fire. They were excellent partners, and we worked very closely together to make a success to evacuate all the communities that need to be evacuated, and big concern for the safety of the residents that we serve. All right, next slide, please. With that, we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have for us.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Deputy Chief Cook, Williams, and Atkinson. I truly appreciate it. Before we start that, I just want to note for the record that Director Williams has joined the call with us this evening, and he joined at 6:20 p.m. I need that for the record. And I'm just going to ask Chief, if you could quickly explain the CAL FIRE contract, maybe just a quick overview for those residents who do not understand what this is, and just so they can get a better understanding. Thank you.
Certainly, I'll ask Chief Cook to drill
Okay,
down
sure.
a little more.
Thank you.
Thanks. Chief Cook, if you could provide some information on that, please.
Absolutely. So as you're all aware, the Chino Hills area is in a wildland urban interface. And basically what that means is we have a lot of undeveloped natural land with infrastructure, buildings, homes, commercial properties, et cetera, that are interwoven into that wildland urban interface. And based on the amount of acreage that is out there and the size and complexity of an area like that and the threat to the structures and infrastructure, the Chino Valley Fire District has enjoyed a partnership with CAL FIRE, the state of California Fire Department, to provide additional fire protection services through a contract. And so in essence, we pay a fee annually to have a contract, which allows us to activate CAL FIRE resources, state resources, to come in quickly and help us mitigate fires such as this. And that includes things like fire engines, bulldozers, hand crews, and aircraft, which are extremely expensive. And so at the end of the day, it's what you would consider somewhat of an insurance policy for resources. And that's exactly what took place on this particular fire.
Thank you very much for that explanation. At this time, we're going to go to public communications. This is a time and place for the general public to address the board of directors about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. The public may address items on the agenda at the time addressed by the board. Due to board policy and Brown Act requirements, action may not be taken on any issue not on the agenda. When you address the board, please state your name and address prior to making your remarks. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. And Clerk of the Board, I didn't give board members an opportunity to just comment on the Blue Ridge fire. Is it appropriate that I do let them? I'm sorry, I know I went to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I apologize for that. Are there any board members who have any comments about our Blue Ridge, the overview of the Blue Ridge fire? I truly apologize for skipping you guys.
It's Mike Krieger. I just want to thank the chiefs for this wonderful overview and really, truly appreciate your guys' dedication and working so hard to make sure everything was running smoothly throughout the whole ordeal, and certainly for negotiating the way to cut down the cost for the district overall. So thank you very much.
This is Director Luth. I agree. I thank you for the information. Very well done. And it just, again, points to how significant this event was, how significant it could have been, the potential, and everyone's good, hard efforts. And very much appreciate everybody's efforts and diligence in this situation. Thank you.
This is John DeMonico, and I agree with Directors Luth and Krieger on everything they said. And it was really a great presentation, and thank you for that. I don't know, will this, one question I have, will this be posted on our website? Hello?
Sorry about that, Director DeMonico. I was having a problem unmuting myself. Yes, I'd like to make a couple little tweaks to this, and we will look to present a similar presentation to the city next month. But yes, we can make this available to the public on our website.
Thank you.
And this is Wynn Williams, and I do have at least one question. Is it my understanding that this fire actually started in Orange County? Is that correct?
Director Williams, Chief Cook addressed that early on. You may not have been on the meeting at that point. It did start in our jurisdiction, just north of the 91 freeway behind the Green River Golf Course, but it was actually within our area of the fire, within an area of the fire district.
Okay. What actually caused the fire?
It's undetermined.
Okay. So now when they add up all the costs, is that for all the overtime and everything that it costs to man the stations and everything else, all costs that were over and above what would have been considered normal costs to run the district if there had been no fire? How do they figure the costs is, I guess, what I'm asking.
Director Williams, the costs associated with the incident are direct costs. So they don't take into account any of our normal staffing costs on a daily basis. They would only be costs incurred for resources that are actually assigned to the incident. And it's all those additional support staff personnel, the additional support costs, feeding, base camp, the aircraft, dozers, all the additional personnel. But as far as our normal staffing that did not respond to the fire, no, those costs would not be included. Personnel from the fire district that were assigned to the incident, those costs were included in the total cost calculation.
So the overtime paid for the guys to cover the stations and everything while the regular men were fighting the fire and stuff was not part of the cost. Is that correct?
I'm not sure that I understand the question. The cost for our personnel assigned to the incident, whether they were on their regular shift or on overtime, is reimbursed through the cost of the incident through the FMAG process. The additional personnel that we called back would be part of our normal staffing. They're taking on the normal daily response. So we're either getting straight time reimbursed for personnel that are there as part of their normal response, or time and a half if we have personnel assigned to the incident that are on overtime.
Okay, well, that's kind of what I'm trying to get to is if you call guys back and they're manning the station to cover the district, but they're not actually on the fire, they're getting paid overtime, time and a half. But those costs are not part of the costs for the fire, even though they are a result of the fire. They are not considered part of the costs of the fire. Is that correct?
Chief Cook, could you address that with the apportionment piece? Could you help out with that, please?
Yes, absolutely. So in essence, your question, yes, we do consider any additional resources or personnel that we had to call back into the district to cover for the units that were engaged in the firefight. And we will be seeking reimbursement for that halftime that you're referring to. So that time and a half will be reimbursed back to the district.
Well, that's the firefighters that are on the fire, but we have to have coverage for our citizens at the stations. So we made callbacks for those fire stations for men that weren't on the fire. Is that correct?
That is correct. Those callback that you're referring to will be reimbursed back to the district and a part of the total cost to the district and the fire through the FMAG process.
Okay, that's my question is when we made callbacks and the guys are called back indirectly, you might say, because of the fire.
Correct.
Or directly, we have to pay them time and a half. The guys that they're replacing that were at the station were straight time, but then when we call them back, they're on time and a half. And my question is the time and a half for the guys that are covering the stations, even though they're not fighting the fire, is that time and a half pay? Actually, the halftime pay is what it would be over and above regular salary, considered in the cost of the fire, cost of the fire. In other words,
yep,
$15 million. Okay.
And we are.
That's what I was trying to get at. That was the main question I had. And I'm sorry that I wasn't on board for the first part of the presentation to find out, the stuff of where the fire started and that type of thing. Because I was under the impression that the news had said that it actually started in Orange County, but that wasn't the case, apparently. So
Okay.
I appreciate your time and working with me on this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again, gentlemen, for this presentation. I agree. It was a great presentation. We really appreciate that. So now I'm going to move to public communications. And this is the time and place for the general public to address the board of directors about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. The public may address items on the agenda at the time addressed by the board. Due to board policy and Brown Act requirements, action may not be taken on any issue not on the agenda. When you address the board, please state your name and address, which is optional, prior to making your remarks. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Clerk of the board, do we have any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Liaison reports to the fire district. Clerk of the board, do we have any liaison reports?
Yes, we actually have several liaisons joining us in listen-only mode, and we have one report by Councilmember Art Bennett, City of Chino Hills.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, do you want me to go ahead then?
Yes, if you can go ahead, please.
All
Thank
right.
you, Councilmember.
Well, first, thank you so much for a very informative recap and overview of the Blue Ridge Fire. And if I caught it right, Chief Shackelford, you mentioned that you are going to present that to the city of Chino Hills next month. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Wonderful. Then we won't spend a lot of time with that. But this, we've already received several updates and reports and numbers, but this was so concise and with the added pictures and everything else, it was an excellent report. And thank you to the 3 chiefs that participated in this this report. Of course, I was mayor at the time, and I can tell you that our public responded in accordance with all of the rules and regulations, and the sheriff's department and the fire department, and the work that you guys did was just phenomenal. And the saving of all of the structures, excuse me, within the city of Chino Hills, we owe you a debt of gratitude. And of course, that's why we contract with Chino Valley Fire, because you're the best in the world. So there you go. Real quickly, I'll go through my report tonight. I won't give you a lot on the COVID updating. You probably, I know we all are being blasted with that through the press. It is sad though that within the San Bernardino County, you know, there continues to be a huge uptick in the, I guess we'll call it the post-Thanksgiving surge. And with the current edict that's out there with the basically stay off the streets mentality, there's a lot of things that are going on that various jurisdictions are appealing to the state and to the governor for. So we'll have to see how that goes. But generally, in respect to COVID-19, we had back on December 2nd, 455 tests actually happened in the city of Chino Hills at the McCoy Center. There were 300 appointments scheduled, but we had 177 walk-ins. We're going to have future COVID-19 dates in Chino Hills. They'll be on December 1st. Well, they were December 1st and 3rd. They're coming up on the 16th, and then January 6th and 20th. Those will be from 9 to 4 to McCoy Equestrian Recreation Center. And of course, we know that the way that the color coding goes on with the state, that what really runs that thing and measures it is numbers of tests. And the reason that we are having these surge in numbers of positive cases is the fact that we're testing more people now. And when in doubt, you know, we need to have people be encouraged to get tested, because for your own peace of mind, and also for all of those that are in your immediate circle of friends and family. At any rate, the county will open registration for all of those events 5 to 7 days in advance. And again, there'll be a limited number of walk-ins. With respect to the city operations, because of these closures, the community center and the McCoy Equestrian and Recreation Center have been extended through January 4th as being closed. Street sweeping tickets will resume January 4th. We will be doing an outreach campaign for that. And this new regional stay-home orders, we're just going to be covering that as we find out more, because it is a fluid situation. With respect to city facilities in Chino Hills, the police department lobby and the library are closed for Christmas and New Year's holidays, December 24th, 25th, and the 31st and January 1st. City Hall and the City Yard will be closed entirely between December 28th, 29th, and 30th. Staff is going to be taking vacation time to be able to take up that whole week, if you will, between Christmas and New Year's. Blood drive, we are continuing because of the COVID things. There's people that are in the hospital for a variety of things besides COVID, and blood is in short supply. So the city is having blood drives on every Tuesday, continuing through the end of February. They'll be right at the government center in the Peyton Drive parking lot from 1 to 6 p.m. Donors are required to wear face masks. Appointments are recommended by calling 800-879-4484 or visiting lstream.org. They have also begun testing all successfully complete donations for antibodies to SARS-CoV-2 and coronavirus that causes COVID-19, and additional benefit to the donors at all live stream locations. We're going to be having, on a more lighter schedule, we're having a photo contest deadline extended to December 31st. For all the photo details, go to chinohills.com .org/photo contest. We have three categories, hometown pride, outdoors, pets. If residents capture great photos from the fire, they may be entered in the outdoors category. And of course, then they would be shared with your district so that you could have further, chronicles of what happened during your efforts there. There'll be great prizes from $50 for third place to $250 for the grand prize winner. And all entries must be submitted online. And lastly, for holiday events, thanks to the community for the incredible support of our holiday events in the past. We have had a McCoy Holiday Lights drive-through. We started with 4 dates, added 2 more dates, and they quickly sold out. So we've added more times, and they've been sold out as well. So you can still go online to the city website and check out that because we are adding additional dates. Holiday home decorating deadline is December 11th, and letters to Santa deadline is also December 11th. And with that, I will mention that you now have 2 familiar faces that are leading the city of Chino Hills. Brian Jose is now our mayor, and Ray Marquez is our vice mayor. So 2 former fire directors are leading the city, and hopefully they will do as good a job for us as they did for you guys when they were there. But we've got a strong council right now, and I am very thankful to the support of your board of directors in my running, in my campaign, and we've already covered that last meeting. But congratulations again to the 3 directors that were reelected, and I am thrilled to be able to serve the city for an additional 4 years. So with that concludes my report. Again, cannot stop telling you how much we appreciate everything that Chino Valley Fire does for all of the residents of Chino Hills, and we owe you a real debt of gratitude. So thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Council Member Bennett. And at this time, we don't have any further liaison reports, so we're going to move to the consent calendar. Clerk of the Board, did we receive any public comments on the consent calendar?
No public comment on the consent calendar.
Okay. If any board member wishes to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion, please state your name and the item number you wish to pull. Okay. At this time, I would like to request a motion.
Your move to approve. Okay.
And can you please state your name for the record? I apologize.
It was Mike Krieger. I move to approve.
Okay.
John DeMonico, I'll second.
Okay, so moved by Vice President Krieger and second by Director DeMonico. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Wynn Williams. Director Williams, are you there?
Hey, am I on?
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
am I on? Oh,
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yes, I vote yes.
Director Harvey Luth.
Yes.
Director John DeMonico.
Yes.
And Vice President Mike Krieger.
Yes.
And myself, yes. So it passes 5-0. Okay. And old business, none. New business. It is the, let me see here, 2019-20 draft audit reports. The purpose is to present the fiscal year 2019-20 comprehensive annual financial report and related disclosure letters to the board for review and approval. Finance Director Steve Heide, please present your report.
President Evinger, members of the board, good evening. Pleased to present to you this evening the comprehensive annual financial report and related disclosure letters. And what I'd like to do is just walk through the presentation with you. And so if you look at the table of contents in the electronic version. We have 3 basic sections to the report. There's an introductory section, a financial section, and a statistical section. And for orientation purposes with regard to the electronic version, we do have built-in links or hyperlinks between the table of contents and the documents. So for example, if I click here on the organizational chart, it takes me right to that section of the CAFR. Then I can click back here in this back to TOC section, and that takes me back to the table of contents for ease of navigation with the document. And this will be posted on the district's website so that members of the public and other interested parties may access the district's comprehensive annual financial report after it's been approved by the board. So if at any point board member has questions during the presentation, please feel free to interject as we go. And if not, we can certainly circle back at the conclusion of the presentation. So as we just move quickly through the introductory section, we have our transmittal letter at the front of the introductory section. And here on page 2 of the transmittal, I just want to point out about the 3rd paragraph down under the introduction section, we indicate that I. Bailey LLP, our auditors, have issued a clean opinion of the district's financial statements for those presented here in the CAFR. And we'll cover in a little more detail the auditor's report here in just a moment. So with regard to the CAFR itself, let me just navigate back here quickly to the table of contents, and just want to remind the board and the public that the district's CAFR and our budget are award-winning documents. As we submit our CAFR and our budget annually through the Government Finance Officers Association for award recognition. These programs meet the highest standards for transparency and reporting. And so we're pleased to remind the board and the public that we do participate in these awards programs. The standards are very high, they're very rigorous, and we very much appreciate the board's support in meeting these standards, as it does require us to ensure that we are meeting a whole host of technical requirements, but really feel strongly that it's in the best interest of the district and clearly demonstrates our commitment to transparency and the highest reporting standards that we continue to apply for and receive these awards on an annual basis. So as I move back, you'll see I'll move back and forth to the table of contents so that I can then move to an additional section in the report. And so I referenced the clean opinion by the auditors in the transmittal letter. And here now in the beginning of the financial section, the independent auditor's report lists in detail the clean opinion, if you will, as well as required disclosures. And we have an audit partner from I. Bailey here this evening who I'll introduce in a few minutes. And she will cover the auditor's report and some other information in more detail. I just want to point out that the independent auditor's report is included in the financial section of the document. Immediately after the auditor's report is the section of management's discussion and analysis that allows the district management the opportunity to comment in specific regarding the financial activities for the fiscal year under report. And we do encourage readers of the district's financial report to read the MD&A in conjunction with the other portions of the CAFR which are presented. So in terms of general orientation to the CAFR, just want to remind the board and point out to the public that the CAFR includes, and as is stated here on page 18 at the beginning of the MD&A, two basic sets of financial statements. There are the government-wide financial statements, which provide a broad overview of the district's financial performance in a manner similar to private enterprise. And this includes items like our capital assets and our long-term liabilities like pension liabilities and our other post-employment obligation liabilities. And then there are also the fund level financial statements, which are described toward the bottom of that page. And the fund statements are the general fund, in effect, very similar to what the board receives every month in terms of the monthly financial report and what we report out in terms of our annual budget. So government-wide tends to take a little bit broader view, including the long-term assets and liabilities. Fund financial statement is more of the annual view, and that includes basically what we review every month with regard to the budget. So just quickly, within the management discussion and analysis, I'm going to fast forward here a couple of pages. And on the left side here, page 22, this again is the fund level financial statements. Looking toward that table at the bottom that says statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance condensed, that in effect is our annual financial performance with regard to the general fund. And so just a quick recap. In summary, we had total revenues of about $45.8 million for the fiscal year. And that was compared against expenditures of about $43.3 million. So we actually had a significant surplus or net change in fund balance of about $2.3 million. So I'm pleased to report we started the fiscal year on July 1 with about a $26.3 million fund balance. And we ended the fiscal year June 30th at about $28.6 million. So we're pleased that we were able to build some additional reserves this fiscal year. So in addition to the basic financial statements, there are also the notes to the financial statements, which start on page 36 of the CAFR. And those are extensive. Readers of the district's financial report are encouraged to review the notes to the financial statements, which are an integral part to our financial presentation. And those cover the better part of about 35 pages in this document. So I'm not intending this evening to review those in detail, but just remind the board and members of the public that in addition to the basic financial statements, the notes contain a wealth of detail and additional information, again, further demonstrating our commitment to transparency and meeting the highest levels of reporting with regard to our CAFR. And the last section is the statistical section of the CAFR. And I just want to briefly cover the statistical section overview that appears on page 773 of the CAFR. And that provides a number of detailed schedules in the financial trend area, revenue capacity, demographic and economic information, and also operating information. And those statistical reports provide, in many cases, 10-year data for the last 10 years, so that you can not only see in the financial report the results of the current fiscal year, but also the 10-year trends to give readers and interested parties really a comprehensive picture over the last 10 years of what our financial performance looks like, our revenues, demographics, et cetera. And there are other reports included in the statistical section that provide a comparison between the current year and what the numbers look like 9 years ago. So a look back between now and essentially 10 years prior. And when we reviewed this CAFR with the Finance Committee, we also discussed that we're building an inventory of prior CAFRs on the district's website as well, so that eventually, as we get a significant number of CAFRs reported on the website, that we'll have 20 years or more of financial data readily available for the public and other interested parties. So not only providing our current budget and even prior budgets, but also providing our CAFRs for a period of an extensive number of years, so that all the financial historical information you could want would be at your fingertips. So with that concludes my review of the CAFR. I want to just take you here to the end. And so with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Kanali Sukasum, CPA, partner with the audit firm of Eide Bailly, LLP. And Kanali has a presentation and would be, I'm sure, happy to answer any questions that the board may have or address any public comment. With that, I'll turn it over to Kanali. Kanali?
Thanks, Steve. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Good evening, and thank you for having me participate in this meeting. My name is Kanali Sukasum, and I'm with Eide Bailly. I'm the audit engagement partner. So I wanted to take some time to discuss our responsibility under generally accepted auditing standards and also the results of our audit. As part of our financial statements, we considered Chino Valley Fire District's internal controls and designed our audit procedures to gain reasonable but not absolute assurance. We also performed tests of compliance with laws, regulations, contracts, those of which could have a direct and material effect on the financial statements amounts. In addition, we also reviewed the required supplementary information to ensure that the amounts contained in those sections are consistent with the information presented in the basic financial statements. Our scope of work was to provide an opinion on the district's CAFR and also to apply agreed upon procedures to the district's appropriations limit calculation, also known as the GAN limit calculation. We've issued an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion on the district's CAFR, which is the highest level of assurance over the financial statements. And for the GAN limit, we've issued an agreed upon procedures report that identified no exceptions. The significant accounting policies used by the districts are disclosed in Note 1 to the financial statements. There were no significant changes in accounting policies used. There was one new accounting pronouncement that was adopted during fiscal year 2020, and that's Governmental Accounting Standards number 95, which delayed the effective dates of pronouncements that were not effective yet due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We noted two significant estimates during our audit, and that relates to the district's net pension liability, the net other post-employment benefits liability, also known as the OPEB liability, and the related inflows and outflows associated with those account balances. These estimates are important to note because of their significance to the financial statements. In addition, I wanted to highlight sensitive disclosures contained within the financial statements. The disclosures relate to the district's net pension liability and net OPEB liability and are included in Notes 8 and 9 to the financial statements. In Notes 8 and 9, it states that a 1% increase or 1% decrease in the discount rate or healthcare trend rate has a material impact on the district's net pension liability and the district's net OPEB liability. There were no corrected or uncorrected misstatements identified during the course of the audit. Further, I'm happy to report that there were no difficulties encountered or disagreements with management or staff during the course of our audit. Also, there were no consultations with any outside accounting firms. An example of this would be if the district entered into any unique arrangements in which we didn't have the expertise in-house to test those types of arrangements, and we would have to consult with an outside firm, we would have to disclose those types of relationships to you. And these next couple of slides, and I'm not going to go through it in detail, it summarizes the accounting standards that are on the horizon and will be required to be implemented if applicable to the district in the next couple of years. I will be working with Steve closely to assist in the implementation of those standards as applicable. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I wanted to take the time to note that we appreciate the opportunity of serving as the district's external auditors, and we would like to thank district management and staff for their cooperation with the audit process.
Thank you, Kanali. We as well enjoy the working relationship with Eide Bailey and those that conduct the audit. Appreciate, especially in this COVID year, the complex nature of us working through the audit. So with that, President Evinger, I will read the recommendation and then turn it back over to you. It is recommended that the board review, discuss, and approve the fiscal 2019-20 District Comprehensive Annual Financial Report and related disclosure letters as presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation. I truly appreciate that. Clerk of the board, do we receive any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask for board comment. Please ask your questions and make your remark when I call your name. Director Williams.
Thank you. Appreciate it. As usual, Steve has done an excellent job, and I do have one question. Where is the audit company located? The one that's doing the audit of the books?
Their local office. Their local office is in Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay, so they're close in here. That's
yes,
the only.
It is a national firm, but their local office is in Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay, and I think that's the only thing I have to say. As usual, you've done what very much looks like an excellent job, and I can see why you guys get the kudos that you do, because everything is straightforward and whatnot. After this COVID thing is over, I hope to get with you sometime, Steve, and get a little more understanding, though, of how these things are derived and so on. I still think they're quite a deal. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Director Luth.
Thank you. We spent some time, as Steve mentioned, in finance going over this. Thank you for that time, Steve, when we did that. Ms. Sukasam, thank you very much for participating in our meeting. I wish we could be in a different situation, as I'm sure everybody does, but thank you for participating. One thing that I do want to point out is, I believe at the last meeting, there was a question about the appropriation limit and who verifies that, and I just want to point out that is in this audit report. They do review that, and that was pointed out earlier. So I did want to point that out. Do appreciate the detailed report that you've brought us here. I think when you look at the district and our finances, certainly not as complicated and complex as the cities, but they are very complex and very challenging. And so your report, your efforts, I think, just confirm the good work that Director Heidi and his staff do. I think they confirm the district's and this board's intent to be transparent. And again, I just appreciate the detailed report and the good information that you provide us. Thank you.
Thank you. Director DeMonico?
Yes, I agree with Harvey with everything he said about the detail. I went through the report a couple of times, and there's a tremendous amount of detail in there that really says a lot. But it's a great report. Thank you to both Steve and our audit company, and I appreciate all the hard work. and interesting reading. So I would urge anybody from the public, take a look at this when it's on our website. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And Vice President Krieger?
Steve, as usual, you and your staff did an excellent job on this. I particularly enjoyed the demographic part towards the back that you mentioned, but it was really good, and keep it up. Thank you.
Yep, and I agree with all the board comments. It was a great job, and thank you very, very much. And with that, at this time, I'd like to request a motion, and please state your name before you motion. Do I have a request, a motion?
Mike Krieger, move to approve.
John DeMonico, I'll second.
Okay, I have a, it's moved by Vice President Krieger and second by Director DeMonico. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Wynne Williams?
Wynne Williams votes yes, I approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Luth?
Yes.
Director DeMonico?
Yes.
Vice President Krieger?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So it passes 5-0. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have resolution number 2020-16, adopting the amended Fire District Conflict of Interest Code. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to review, approve, and adopt resolution number 2020-16, approving the amended Conflict of Interest Code for the Chino Valley Independent Fire District. Clerk of the Board, Sandra Haney, will present. Will you please present your report?
Thank you. President Ramos Evinger and members of the board, the Political Reform Act requires all public agencies to adopt and maintain a conflict of interest code and to review the code biannually. When new positions are created or changes are made to an existing job description, it is the responsibility of the fire district to conduct a review of the positions and determine if they fall within the designated position requirements of the fire district's conflict of interest code. Recently, the fire district established a new position, which is the Information Technology Specialist position, and this position was submitted to legal counsel for review, and it was determined that an amendment to the fire district's conflict of interest code by resolution was necessary to be able to add this position. Since the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors is a code reviewing body for the district, the approved district resolution will be submitted to the county for review and approval. In summary, the proposed updates to the Conflict of Interest Code are establishment of a new designated position, which is Information Technology Specialist position, and also some minor amendments, which are attached to the staff report as a proposed red line Conflict of Interest Code. So we are recommending that the Board of Directors review, approve, and adopt resolution number 2020-16, approving the amended Conflict of Interest Code for the Chino Valley Fire District, and to forward a copy of the amended code to the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors for their review and approval.
Okay, thank you so much. Clerk of the Board, did we receive any requests to speak?
We did not receive requests to speak on this item.
Okay, thank you so much. This is the time for the board to comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks when I call your name. Director Wynne Williams.
Wynne Williams has no comment.
Director Luth.
No comments. It looks very legalese. It looks like something we need to do. It seems appropriate. No comments.
Thank you. Director DeMonico.
No comments.
Vice President Krieger.
No comments.
Okay, and I don't have any comments as well. It's a necessary item. So at this time, I would like to request a motion. Please state your name before you motion.
Harvey Luth, move to approve.
John DeMonico, I'll second it.
Okay, so it was moved by Luth and second by DeMonico. I will now call for a roll call voice vote. Director Wynne Williams.
Wynne Williams votes to approve.
Okay, Director Harvey Luth.
Yes.
Director DeMonico.
Yes.
Vice President Mike Krieger,
Yes.
and myself. It passes 5-0. So next on the agenda is the 2021 Community Liaison and Standing Committee member assignments. Purpose is to appoint community liaisons for the County Board of Supervisors, City of Chino, City of Chino Hills, Fire Safe Council, Chino Valley School District, County Airports Commission, Chino Institute for Men's Citizen Advisory Council, Chino Institute for Women's Citizen Advisory Council, and the Inland Empire Utilities Agency, and appoint the standing committee members for the 2021 Fire District's Finance, Planning, and Human Resources Committee. And I will do this report, and at the conclusion of this, just guys, to let everybody know that you will get a copy of this. So I just want to start out with the committee reports. So for finance, I've assigned myself and Vice President Krieger. I feel it's important that my Vice President have full knowledge of everything that's going on with the finance, and I just feel it's important that the President have firsthand knowledge on that. For the Planning Commission, I have Vice President Krieger and Luth. For Human Resource Committee, I have myself, and I have Director DeMonico for that. Okay, so for the County Board of Supervisors, I have Director Luth as primary, DeMonico is secondary. For Chino Council, I have Ramos Evinger and DeMonico as liaisons. Chino Hills Council, I have Krieger and Luth. Chino Valley Fire District, Krieger is the primary, Luth is the secondary. IEUA, DeMonico is primary, Luth is secondary. The Fire Safe Council, I'm primary, DeMonico is secondary. County Airports Commission, Luth is primary, and I have Krieger as secondary. CIM, CAC, I have myself as primary and Krieger as secondary. CIW, CAC, I have Krieger as the primary and myself as secondary. For our JPA, the Confire Board, I have DeMonico as primary, Luth as secondary. And for our association liaisons, I want to let everyone know that Director DeMonico was reselected to serve on the CSGA Legislative and Fiscal Committee. And I was also selected to serve for Professional Development and Membership Committee. Does anybody have any comment or anything? Well, I guess I better do that the correct way. So hold on just a second here. Let me get. So Clerk of the Board, did we receive any requests to speak? Nope. Okay. All right. So this time I'm going to ask for board comment. Please ask your questions or make your remarks. Director Wynne Williams?
Yeah, I think you forgot me, Sarah. Is there a problem? Is there still a problem going on, or you want to let me know what's happening?
So, Director Williams, I'm because of your current sanctions, I do not have the authorization to assign any assignments for you at this time. We have not changed any of that. I don't have the authorization even as president. So, maybe you can submit a request for a future meeting and we can discuss that. It would need to be discussed as a full board, Director Williams.
Okay, well, as far as a request, they don't let me ask anything to be put on the agenda or anything like that. So
okay, well,
I'm kind of you know, my hands are tied here.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll work offline with you on this. Okay.
That would be great. How
Okay.
will we go about that? Are you going to call me or?
Yes, maybe myself and maybe I'll have, you know, someone from the fire district. We can talk about this and put this on a future agenda. Okay. So,
That'd be great.
okay.
I
All right.
would sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Director Harvey Luth.
No comment. Thank you.
Okay. Director John DeMonico.
No comment.
Okay. Vice President Mike Krieger.
No comment.
Okay, all right. And no action was required due to board policies. It gives me the authority to make these appointments. So next we'll be moving on to Fire Chief comments. Fire Chief Shackelford, do you have any comments for us this evening?
I do, thank you. Under personnel development activities, Accountant Don Byrne has accepted the role of co-chair for Inland Empire chapter of the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers. Under board activities and public relations, the City of Chino tree lighting ceremony was held on December 1st at Chino City Hall. Board members and staff attended the event. On December 4th, several board members and staff attended the Chino Senior Delivery event. Organizational items of interest, recruitment update. HR Director Christy Couchoir, please provide an update.
Currently have 10 firefighter paramedic candidates and backgrounds and are hopeful for a springtime start date. I'll keep you posted. And on December 1st, we announced an internal promotional opportunity for the position of fire captain. The posting closes on December 31st at 1700. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Continuing under organizational items of interest, the Blue Ridge incident brought attention to a topic that I believe needs to be addressed. During the incident, the deputy chiefs put in a tremendous number of hours above and beyond the normal workday and work week. If the incident occurred in a neighboring jurisdiction or elsewhere in the state where we had received an OAS request for the deputy chiefs, we would have a mechanism to compensate them. With the exception of myself and the deputy chiefs, everyone from the CVFD that was assigned to the Blue Ridge Fire was fully compensated for the work at the incident. As the deputy chiefs are considered exempt employees, I do not have the authority to compensate them for any time spent at the incident beyond their normal workday. As the deputy chiefs were committed to this incident for an extremely extended time period, it seems to be unfair, and in the future, I'd like to evaluate options available that may remedy that situation on a go-forward basis. Under upcoming events, the annual senior delivery event will take place in Chino Hills on December 10th at 12 p.m. The City of Chino Youth Christmas Day drive-through event will take place at Ayala Park on December 12th from 5:15 p.m. through 8:30 p.m. Our administration office will be closed on Thursday, December 24th and Friday, December 25th in observance of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. A Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for December 28th at 8 a.m. And on Thursday, December 31st, the administration office will close at noon in observance of New Year's Eve. On Friday, January 1st, the office will be closed in observance of New Year's Day. And that concludes my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Shackelford. And this is the time for board comments. Please provide any comments when I call your name. Director Wynn Williams.
Thank you. Yes, I'd just like to say that I was very disappointed in not getting any assignments on the liaisons and stuff. I've tried my best to not have any kind of controversy or anything going on, and there hasn't been anything going on to my knowledge. And I sure hope we can get this resolved without having to, you know, resort to things that have gone on in the past. I know that Director Kruger has stated that he feels that it's a lot better if we're all together on this, and I hope the rest of you feel the same way. And and I'm looking forward to talking with you, Sarah, and I hope we can get this issue resolved. You had stated one time that 30 days or 60 days would be it. And, you know, and I've been going along and, you know, getting things done here for 6 months, and we haven't had any controversy or anything. So based on what you had said, you know, you should be kind of in my corner and fighting for me to be back in the fold. Beyond that, as far as the fire, I think the guys did an excellent job. I am extremely happy with the fact that nobody got hurt and everything worked out and there were no homes lost. I've stated that at the last meeting, and I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I hope everybody wants to be safe. It's really concerning to me, this COVID thing, and I'm looking forward to the vaccine, as I've stated before. And there'll be Christmas between now and our next meeting, and I hope everybody can have a safe and good Christmas as much as possible with this COVID thing going on. And I hope all of our workers and our employees all have a safe Christmas, and try and avoid too many crowds. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Luth.
Thank you. Report, had a finance meeting, Chino council meetings, also watched the Chino Hills council meetings as well. Want to congratulate our service ward winner, Shunda. I still remember one of the first people I met when I was first brought on this board was Shunda, and just what a positive, upbeat attitude she had, and which I continue to find throughout this organization. But she was just a great person. The first time around, almost the first person I met in this district was Shunda. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to Don. Very nice that we've got people getting involved like that. Thank you for the presentation on the Blue Ridge Fire, as already stated. Very well done. Let's see here. I want to remind the fellow board members here that I think it's Friday. We're looking for any input on board policy, suggested changes, areas you want looked at for the ad hoc committee. So if you would please get those submitted by this Friday to the clerk, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let's see here. It is nice, Sarah, to just sit here and listen to you have to read off all the things I was reading off. And I gotta say, the worst thing was always the roll call voice vote. That always was a tongue twister for me. I don't know why. It seems so simple, but you're doing a great job. Let's see here.
Thank you.
What else did I have? I think that's it. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and that'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director DeMonico.
Yes, I attended the Chino Hills Council meeting, San Bernardino County Supervisors meeting, and the IEUA meetings. Interestingly, San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors meeting, they had about a 2-hour public comment session, and then flew through the rest of the meeting. But we had it was almost so fast, we had an item on there that was a contract between us and San Bernardino County Fire, and I almost missed it. It went so fast, but it was approved. Congratulations to Shanda on your 5 years, and Don on your willingness to co-chair the organization. I'd like to say great presentation again on that Blue Ridge Fire. And Chief, I agree with you. I think we should find a way to compensate our management folks when they're out on those fires for the ungodly amount of hours they put in there. And there's no mechanism in place that we have to address that. And I think that we really need to do that. And with that, I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you so much. And Harvey, thank you for last year. You did a great job. So thank you. Again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Vice President Krieger.
Thank you, Sarah. Harvey, I go along with John. You did an absolutely fantastic job this past year with all the struggles that happened with us going virtual and everything else. So very, very pleased. Great job for that. Congratulations again to Sarah, John, and Harvey for getting reelected, and for Sarah being in the big chair now. I was able to attend the Chino City Council meeting and present Councilmember Tom Howie with a retirement plaque. Tom served almost 20 years and has been a good friend to many of us. And he has taken a position as a planning commissioner for the county of San Bernardino. So he's he's not quite going away. He's just moving on to something a little bit different. I attended school board meetings, agenda review meeting, and a meeting with the chief. Thank you guys for the presentation to all the deputy chiefs on the Blue Ridge Fire. That was a great overview. I share with everybody else, wishing Shunda the best for the 5 years that she's done, and congratulations on that, and Dawn for getting her new position. Once again, I want to thank Steve for the financial report that he did. And with that, I'd like to wish everybody as well a very Merry Christmas, and please be safe.
Okay, thank you so much. And I too want to thank Shunda and Dawn, and I want to thank you, Steve, for our wonderful report tonight, and then our presentation on the Blue Ridge fire as well. I attended Chino Hills council meetings. I had a finance committee meeting, and items were on the agenda tonight. Fire Safe Council meeting as well. I just wanted to give a shout out and a huge thank you to the fire district, to the Fire Foundation for the senior delivery and MAX programs that are going on. I know we had to change things this year, but we didn't let our challenges cancel that. And I'm very, very grateful for everybody for changing at the last minute and making sure that our seniors and our children who are in need are able to still have their beautiful Christmas that they all deserve. I also want to remind the board members that although I'm president, I do not have authorization to change any type of sanctions or anything. I am one of 5. So just a reminder for that, if there's something that you want to discuss, it needs to go before the full board. We do have a process in place for agenda items. And Clerk of the Board, can you please send out all the board members a reminder on how they go about requesting for agenda items to be placed on our agenda, the process and such, so just to remind everybody?
Yes, I certainly will.
Okay, thank you so much. And with that, I want to thank this entire district for an amazing 2020 year. We have had challenge after challenge, and we just excelled. And the leadership of the chief and of his executive team under him, to front lines, to all of our personnel, you guys, just thank you so much for all your hard work, and for, regardless of the situation, still continuing to serve our community in just such an amazing way. I can speak for the board, I'm sure here, we truly appreciate that. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year, and I'll be praying for us to have a fabulous 2021. God bless everybody. With that, the meeting will be adjourned to a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Valley Independent Fire District to be held on Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. Good night.